let's go!
Howdy everyone, I'm Corey with Art's Really Cool. Today is the 18th video of Painting's Really Cool. Alright, so today's video is kind of an inspired by person. I thought of another person, but kind of an inspired by person, but really just a story about a person and then a painting that I kind of wanted to do. But this time I'm going to talk about my other aunt. I have three, but I didn't know the third one. But this one was my mom's sister. She lived in the same area, and so we saw her regularly. We used to actually go over to her house, her trailer, on a regular basis. It was really fun. It was on a nicer lot. Like, it was a big lot and lots to do, a bunch of big trees. Big fan of big trees. I was climbing trees constantly, and I could go so fast. I was like from the bottom to the top in like 10 seconds. I'm like, doo, 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 doo. Anyway, so I really enjoyed being over there. She had these two dogs. The one dog was normal name, but his name was Brutus. Then the other dog was named Baby. She was very hyper. And then her cat was named Tiddles, which I've actually since then heard somebody else's cat named that. And I was like, oh, maybe that's not as weird. But to me, as a younger kid, you get it. You specifically get why it's funny. Brutus was scary. I almost had like a nervous breakdown because he lunged at me once and I was very scared. Baby just loved everybody and was so hyper. And she did this thing that was so impressive and so funny. She would just be standing there and she'd see you and she'd be so excited to see you, or she'd be excited about something, and she wouldn't do anything but jump straight up. And she would jump like 5 or 6, like so high, just straight standing up in the air. Like no running jump, no anything, just bing. She was like a little spring. It was so funny. And they were outside dogs, and so it was an open area. They didn't have a fence, so she got pregnant a lot. And so there was always, like, not always, but a lot of times there was little puppies, and that was really fun. I liked that. I bet that probably helped solidify my obsession with dogs. That's more about her pets than her. She was pretty cool. So she had a tough life. My mom's side all had really rough childhoods. She struggled with some stuff growing up. When I knew her as a younger child, she was like kind of carefree and fun, and she's very witty. It might have been part of where I got some of my wit, but like she could zing you really fast, or you could say something and she would get right back at you. She was dry with her sense of humor too, like I am, so she would say something that you're like, oh, you're just joking. I enjoyed my time over there a lot because like there was so much to do outside, and I'm an outdoorsy person. Well, kind of. That's why I bought this lot, is because of the trees and the wilderness. There's deer. Like the other day, there was like 5 or 6 times where these deers came through. These deer came through the backyard. 2, I'm assuming they're moms. 2 moms and 4 fawns. But anyways, I am going to talk about the painting, and then I'm going to tell you more stories about my aunt or aunt, depending on where you're from, while I paint. This eyeball, as anybody who's seen, there's a video, maybe Adrian will link it in the description, of me making this. This is probably my favorite painting I've ever done. It is a color wheel concept, so it's got the Roy G. Biv, which Adrian, there's a mic there. It's got the Roy G. Biv, which Adrian talked about in his last video. Like, I am super obsessed. Adrian likes it, but Adrian's more green. Adrian likes green more than anything. I'm constantly like, I want all of the colors. And so I wanted to do this concept because I think it looks so cool, but I wanted to do it with these cool colors called color shifts. They're by FolkArt. They're really thick paint. They have all of these colors. There's one that's technically not color shift, but it's in the same bottle, so it fooled me until I started mixing it. I was like, wait, this doesn't say color shift. But anyways, so I've got these colors, and they're not in the order that I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do the same concept where I build. So I've got a darker version, so I've got a shade of the base color, which for this one, it's this blue flash. So I've got a this base color, and then I've got a shade, which shade is just adding black to a color. And then I've got the tone, if I got that right, the tone, which is just adding gray to a color. I chose silver, and I also did metallic black. I know you're all surprised by that. And then tint, I believe that's the order these go in. Tint is just adding white, and of course metallic white. So I've got these 3 hues of the base color, and I'm going to try and squeeze the base color in as well. and I'll build layers like I did last time with metallic white in between each layer. They have a black flash, which looks very similar to like metallic black, but it kind of has a little bit of a goldish green like shift aspect to it. Like it's kind of cool. I'm hoping, one, it shows up and when it dries, but two, that we can get it on camera for you. But I'm going to start with the center being that black flash. Then I'm going to do these potentially in a Roy G. Biv style concept too. Not 100% sure because this green and this purple are so pronounced that I need to keep them apart from each other, but I also need them to fit in. So I'll figure it out right before I pour. But yeah, so I'm excited about this. I'm hoping that it turns out really cool like that. If not, we'll just look at that. I'll just show you that again as the dried result. You're like, well, that didn't work, but let's look at this one. It's pretty cool. So with the magic of editing, I'll be standing. So Adrian boo-booed. He wasn't recording the sound properly, so I have to re-say some things. So, just as though it was brand new, I'm going to do, like I said, the same concept as this, except for I'm going to make a smaller black circle because I'm going to do 4 hues. I'm using the black flash, like I said, in the center, so I poured that. I then torched it shortly after because I did have to shake it really quickly. And when you shake it, it kind of re-inserts air bubbles. So I'm going to do it in this specific order. It's definitely not Roy G. Biv. There's a couple colors that are very similar looking. And then the purple flash and green flash I wanted to kind of keep separate. And I'm going to start with the tint, the white first. And then I'll go the white, the base, the silver, and the black. But remember, in between each one of those, I'll be putting a layer of metallic white. So here we go. Make sure I don't do too much. I have no idea where I got these little cups. They were just in my storage. So, story time. Like I said, my aunt lived in a kind of a outdoorsy area. I mean, there were other trailers nearby, but she had some really big trees. And one day I was walking in the backyard and something fell and hit me in the head. And that's why I'm weird the way I am. And it like moved after it hit me in the head. And it turned out it was a caterpillar, like a really big caterpillar, like the size of like a hot dog. And it had like blue and yellow, it was green, and had blue and yellow spikes on it. And I was like, this is the coolest looking thing ever. And so I was like, I'm gonna keep it. And so I took it home and I put it in this, so there's an ice cream company in Billings called Wilcox, I think. And it's like the ice cream that the locals like, or at least my dad loved. And you could get it in very large quantities, including 5 gallons. And so my dad would get that big amount of ice cream, and we would keep the 5 gallon tubs. And I used one of those empty ones, and I put it in there, and I gave it a stick and some leaves and grass, and didn't poke holes in the lid. Maybe I did. Anyways, I forgot I had it in there because I put it under my desk. Totally, yeah, I must have done it. So like weeks and weeks later. Anyways, back to the scheduled program.
Sorry, guys.
Anyway, so I forgot about it, and then one day I saw it under my desk, and I was like, wait, what is this? And I opened it up, and the caterpillar had cocooned up in the, like, where the lid is and the edge or whatever, and turned into, technically it's a moth because pretty much all of the butterflies we see are mostly moths. But it was really pretty, and it had just a little bit of life left because it was stuck in that thing. And so I let it go. I took some pictures. I used it as a science project. Got an A, even though I did nothing but put a caterpillar in a bucket and forget about it. Set it and forget it. But I also really enjoyed my aunt, like spending time with her, like I said earlier. And so she would do these things. I can't remember what it was, but I wanted to, talking too much, I almost forgot my way. I wanted to like hang out with just her and me. And so I said, I want to go on a date with you. I was young, so it didn't sound as creepy as it does when an adult says it. She had this really cool red, I think it's a LeBaron. Well, it was cool back then because it was convertible, and I wanted to ride in it and go on this cool date where we just do stuff. So we went miniature golfing. The way she always told the story was she got super mad at some hole, I don't remember which one, like started cursing and like almost threw, she sometimes would exaggerate, so like threw her club or something, and then we got asked to leave. I don't remember that, but I also don't super remember this date thing very, very well. I remember asking and wanting to do it. I just don't remember the activities super well. I remember us getting ice cream, but it was really fun and really cool, and it was something that she held close, like because she would talk about it like regularly. So I just enjoy that memory. As she got older, her struggles became more intense, and so we kind of drifted apart. She had her demons, and I was too young to understand how to process that and have that as part of my life. So we kind of drifted apart. I would talk to her and occasionally, and we were still like, I still loved her, and she was still a little bit like out of it in terms of like she didn't realize that there was a distance there. Even to the very end, because she's unfortunately passed, she like would always just, like I said, make these witty little jabs, and like she was just very clever lady. I was very happy to have her in my life when I was a child. My aunt was, like I said, was my mom's sister, and she was the oldest of 4. My mom's side of the family passes away very quickly. Before I graduated high school, I had been to probably 5 or 6 funerals, just for family members, not counting other things. She was the oldest, my aunt, and so she was very protective of my mom and very protective of her brothers, because it was my mom, or my aunt, then my uncle, then my mom, and then my other uncle. And my uncles both passed first from different things, and so my aunt would try and bring their memories back. I was really young when one of them passed, but bring their memories forward, like keep them alive, which I thought was nice. And so she would remind us of different stories. Like we used to do Christmas together, my mom's side of the family, and my uncle would bring his 2 kids and his wife, and I don't know if he was a black belt in karate. He did karate, maybe just liked karate, I don't know. But she would remind us after he had passed of like his karate stories. He had a video game playing karate that I really liked. I don't remember what it was, but I remember playing that a lot. So it's kind of cool that she made sure that they didn't fade into obscurity once they had passed. Anyway, just a second. I want to torch this real quick. I thought I had more stories to tell you about my aunt, but now I'm drawing a blank. I should have written down stories. So the reason I'm doing this layer of white is to, 1, create the contrast, help create the separation, like you can kind of see in this, where you've got like the different shades. Like I think I started with the darker actually and moved out, but you can see that it gets lighter that way. So we'll see how this works, since I did it backwards like a big goofy ball. I wonder if it would be really cool with the light to the dark. Just the main reason I did it dark last time was because the black center, but I think it's a happy accident. that I did it this way so I can kind of try it out. I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna regret saying it, but so far so good on the sizes. I'm doing like I did on that. I was successful in making sure that they were mostly the same. Like obviously this is smaller than this. I'm not running out of space really, so I'm happy about that. Stories that my mom would tell me about my aunt growing up. She was very feisty. I know some of that came from the childhood she had, but like she was always like in people's faces and just real tough. She kept that persona, like the guy she was married to, well, she never got officially married to him, like rode a Harley, and she was all on that all the time, and like she did all the tough, bad ask things, yet she still had a very softer side, especially when it came to us kids. And I thought that was kind of cool that she was able to have the duality of both her sassy self and her like nurturing, loving self. Side note, my nephew, when I went back home, speaking of the word sassy, when I went back home the last time, I was driving and he was in the back seat. I don't even know what I said, but he has got like like the way he says things is just like a little kid in terms. I think he's 4 now. I'm really bad with ages. Whatever I said made him go, "Uncle Corey, you're sassy." Because the funniest thing to me, like, why do you know that word as a 4-year-old? And my brother is not one, I think, that would say the word sassy regularly. And I mean, it mostly fit the situation. It's just so funny. And the way he says it. So Adrian and I say it constantly when I do something sassy. I'm excited about this, guys. This is gonna be pretty cool, I think. And again, if not, we'll just look at the rainbow eye or the color wheel eye. Oh, this one's super long. What is it thinking? When I first started mixing these, I was mixing with the actual paint, like straight from the bottle paint. And it would make it all thick, and it was hard to mix because I was mixing these teeny tiny things. Finally, I realized, wait, I already have the paint pre-mixed, so it's liquid and fluid. And so I just added that. So I had to remake one like 3 times because I kept getting too much black paint in it, so it was so dark. This shade version of this green flash is pretty yet ugly. The shades are very minimal. I think I'm gonna get a lot of cell action from this ring. You can already kind of see that it's got more dots, and this is because this is a silver, and metallic always interacts more excitingly and aggressively with other colors that are non-metallic, which is another reason why I like them so much. All right. Guys, ready for this? I don't know what that's from, but I know it's from something. Okay, I'm gonna start from the center and work my way out, and we'll see what happens. I think I like it. I don't necessarily like this and this as much, but I think I like it. Can't wait for it to dry. That's where it'll shine the most. It's cool. Like regardless, like even if I say like this, it's pretty cool. Actually, I'm gonna do one thing. I lied. So I'm excited to see when it dries how this all, like, because the color shift is really kind of cool. Like you can see, like this is Like it does stuff like this, and you can see the other versions on the site, artsreallycool.com. Some of them out there. I think I've got a specific section in the shop area under collections for color shift. All right, so you can see already on the edge, this is where I think that silver is coming into play. You can see these mild cells, which I'm going to torch this in a second, and that may make more pop. Torching, I don't know what the scientific reason is, but it helps the reaction come through. My guess is it's making some of the metallic-esque aspect go away, like it's burning it off, and so it leaves the little cellular spots. Not as much of a fan of that, but I'm sure it'll dry nice. I like how it's wispy out, and again, it kind of looks like an eyeball. I'm gonna do kind of a series of these. I'll do one, I'm planning for a blue and one for green, I think, and then something else because I've got 5 circles that I want to use. Overall, I think it turned out okie dokie. Wet. We'll see how it dries. All right, so you guys ready to see if it worked or not? It didn't work. So look at this one. It's so pretty. Just kidding. Here it is. So I like it, but here, let's zoom in a little bit. So you've got not as much selection, but a handful of little spots, especially towards the edge. And I think that's because that's where my metallic white was. You can't quite see it a little bit, but like right there, when I'm at that angle, like right here, you can see that greenish a little bit. That's from the color shift black. I like and dislike this section because it sticks out a little different, but when you're like close, it's really pretty, like the different waves in the dark areas, and then this kind of is just a fun shape. I like the color choices that I did, like the different orders. I'm not sure if it's exactly the specific layout that I would be best, but I do really like this. So I hope you do as well. Let me know in the comments. Bye. Adrian, guess what?
Chicken butt. No, seriously. What?
Our website's live. Go to artsreallycool.com.
Yeah, you're lying. Let me check.
Oh, you weren't lying.